Hey guys, so today there was a new month. Actually it was yesterday, technically, but it's still today. If you're on the West Coast or I guess East Coast, just kind of went into the new day. But we had a new monthly candle start today. So it started about 17 hours ago for us, because it opened up in Asia. Around 5 p.m. my time, so it would have been like 8 o'clock p.m. New York time. There was a new candle right here, so June 1st. We had an inflection over the MACD, so we've crossed over the zero line. This is a faster MACD, so here we have the slope right there. Well, I can't do it exactly, but it's steeper than this, and it's not as steep as this, so it's between there. We cross over the zero line, so now we have the zero line's right there, but it's also there too, so we've crossed over that. So we're starting to form a crossover, so we could be running here for a long time. So the default one hasn't crossed yet. There's still a lot of room. As we discussed before, there's a lot of room for it to cross over still. Before it even crosses over, there's a lot of room. So this is a new bar here. That's June 1st, and that's the closing May month bar. So the RSI is now crossed over from overbought heading into neutral. The shorter period indicators are, this one's overbought. Well, technically I take it around 90 is overbought. I mean oversold, sorry. So around, or sorry, 10. So around 10 it's going to be oversold, but technically it is already if you're using default relative strength index settings. Then the oversold will be 30, the overbought will be 70. I set this bar to 100. No, sorry, I set this bar to the min to 0 and the max to 100 so I can see it a bit better. But you can also put it at 10 and 90 as well. But yeah, so pretty much we'll see what's gonna happen. For right now the bar is red. Could this keep going down? It could. We're getting close to that 50% retracement. Excuse me. So it's basically the middle band of that channel. So we do have the decreasing volume, the green volume we talked about, and then we have some heavy red volume here, but obviously a super red candle. It's interesting because we had even more sell volume here, but the candle wasn't even big compared to, like, look at that, right? Look at the amount of sell volume we had in March of 2020, when the pandemic started, basically. You can see that this candle was so small, and then look at this candle, right? It's like half the size or even less than half the size. But yet, we still have this huge red candle. Probably the biggest red candle Bitcoin's ever seen. So, that's interesting. I don't know how that works exactly. But you can see it. So, we'll just talk about the weekly. So again, we did have, technically we did have a little bit, like, because last time we were here we were here. So we did end up coming up a little bit, as we said in the last video. I think I said we would come back and touch this middle of that channel here. I just call it the 50% retracement, or like the average price for weekly candles. But we almost did come up there and touch it. There's a little bit more bullish volume here starting, so we got the second week now. Last week we were here. We got a little bit of momentum to the upside. We got the slope here as far as the signal line. Bit of room to the zero line. Can delete this one. And so that's the faster MACD. The default still heading down. No bullish momentum yet. There is a little bit of room to that zero line, but that can continue down and maybe meet it down here. So it's not for sure that it would. See, look what happened here. It didn't touch that zero line. It continued further down. So I'd only look at the zero line, like reconnecting to the zero line, when things are so overbought as we were earlier, like here. Then you would say, okay, well, we're drifting very far away from the zero line. But it's not always, like as I'm pointing out right now, it's not a for sure signal, because you can get faked out here and it can drop on you, right? You just kind of, because like if you would have taken that trade long, right, you would have bought some Bitcoin there, whatever you want to call it, you invested in Bitcoin, whatever, you would have got a little bit of a a trade, right? But the thing is, it won't always meet the zero line completely, because it did have a break of support and it continued to fall. So you have to watch out for that. As far as the faster period indicators, we are getting a little bit of momentum to the upside. We might get a break of oversold, heading back into neutral again. As we said last week, we might test up here. A little bit of a retrace, maybe not, right? It could just continue down, but it's a possibility that once again these shorter, because look, up, down, okay, look, down here, right? Almost oversold. Forgive me if I mix those up, because I'm talking fast, but here's oversold, right? Then it went back to overbought, or almost oversold, then overbought. Getting down there again, overbought, neutral, overbought, or almost neutral, oversold, overbought, oversold. So, you know, could we at least see neutral? Maybe, right? It's possible. It's possible. Could we maybe get over this band? Or at least, well, we did come close already. So if the momentum to the downside is strong, we could see another dip below here, and another dip back up here, and another dip below here. So it just all depends, right? It won't always be perfect right to the exact point, but it could be a generalization. As far as the default RSI, the yellow one, it does want to get back down here, because it's kind of how it works, right? It wants to get down here, get down there, at least down here, right? It wants to get oversold once again, and might even diverge. Because look, it diverged a few, actually it didn't even diverge, did it? Or converge? No, it didn't even diverge. That's what we said, this was the strongest divergence that we ever seen. So I guess it did diverge already, but back here it didn't really. There isn't too much going on. It was just kind of straight down. And once it got, look how much of a difference there was here. What is that, 5K? So it lost half its value between that, like where are we now? What is that, 26? No, can't be 26. 45. Yeah, 45.72. So we have just left exact neutral. And that's also a strong sign that we've crossed below neutral again. Crossing neutral to the downside is a strong signal, and crossing neutral to the upside is a pretty strong signal too. Or at least it's one to keep your eye on. So we crossed neutral to the downside. So that's a pretty strong signal. Again, we're now at, excuse me, so we're at almost 46. 45.74, so there is still almost another halfway down, right? Pretty much. So that kind of makes sense. Because here it went down to 27. So there's a lot of room still. 45 to 27, like, there's a lot of room, because look, think about it. 30 to overbought, that's at 70. I mean, sorry, 50. Neutral is at 50. Overbought's at 70. So 20 difference, right? And then neutral is at 50. Oversold is at 30. So 20 difference. So we're just 4.2, like 5 points exactly away from neutral. So it's almost at that halfway retracement, which is interesting. So we definitely could see, I think, you know, 12K, 13K is definitely still on the menu. Would it make a perfect bounce off 13, 12? It's possible, but I still think there's room to the downside here. I think that's it. It's pretty much everything on the weekly. It's all laid out here. It's all like everything's mapped out. So we did have the daily RSI come a little bit, dip down a little bit to oversold. So we, again, that could make sense to see at least a retrace up to neutral as possible, but maybe not if it wants a dump. But it is possible. We do have some bearish momentum starting that could fake out. But it's probably because, you know how we talked about it crossing up over that yellow line, crossing down, crossing up, crossing down. So it is possible we may come up a little bit before it wants to head back down, or it could just continue down and that yellow line could meet at a lower point. So if the price wanted to continue down and that yellow line kind of went like that and met it down here, if it wanted to retrace, it's possible. At this point though, the RSI is oversold, so we might see a little bit of momentum to the upside, maybe even next week. Even for like at least a retrace to almost there. But again, we kind of did have that retrace up there. It has now met to that point where the yellow line has moved from here down here to technically where that point was, even lower than that. So that's a pretty strong signal that it's still heading down as well. If the momentum's strong enough, it can break this and even come down deeper, or even want to. Yeah, basically you can break that level and just fall. So I think for it to really want to dip down though, it might maybe come up a little bit more to just reset things, but it's hard to say. Perhaps the 4 hour would want to get overbought a little bit again. It's interesting, we're at this point where the charts got so deep that they kind of have to reset. But even how it dipped so low and it went up, the RSI moved a bit. So it's kind of like, yeah, we're at neutral now, because look, it's at 50. And the daily, where's the daily? Daily, well, yeah, the daily is still a little bit low, so it might come up, but it's at 50 on the 4 hour, so it's like, where should I go right now? Shorter time frames, what's happening at the moment? 3 hour, maybe a little bit of bullish momentum to the upside. Maybe it's running out of steam. Just come a little bit, maybe a little bit higher. Perhaps, yeah, a little bit of bullish. We got a cross there on the 2 hour. Perhaps a little bit of increasing convergence there. Squeeze momentum. So perhaps we, whoops, what was that line? Like that. A little bit of movement. Might see a little bit of movement to the upside. Did price even? So price moved down, this moved up. Yeah, pricing a little bit. We got a little bit of movement to the downside. Kind of overall, perhaps. So there is a little bit of bullish convergence there. Let's see. A little bit, nothing too strong for to see. But yeah, so we got a little bit of bearish momentum on the 1 hour, starting perhaps. It's kind of mixed signals here. A little bit of bearish momentum starting on the 30. Maybe the RSI wants to come up a little bit higher, right? I think it's kind of confused. The charts are even confused. They're like, well, down, the higher time frames say down, so maybe we should just keep going down. Or, you know, this could just trade sideways for a while before the daily kind of gets back up to 50. Something like that. But I think there's a little bit of bullish momentum, bullish convergence, because look, price went down overall. We got the RSI moving up, other indicators moving up as well. Faster MACD moving up overall. Default MACD moving up slightly overall. So again, I think before it falls, you know, maybe we'll see a little bit of momentum to the upside. Maybe just to get over that line, perhaps come up here. At least a touch. Maybe it wants to touch or just get over a little bit. But you know, it could start to fake out here. We already had the increase. We already had the momentum kind of already. So the thing is, it could just kind of, you know, start maybe some more bearish momentum. Could be starting here. So I wouldn't be entering anything right now. I'd kind of just let it, you know, wait for a better price. We'll move to Ethereum. It's probably the same thing, honestly. So last time when it crashed, it actually crashed a month after Bitcoin, like the long crash, the decline for at least a year before it started to move up again. It all happened a month after Bitcoin, so it's kind of following the same pattern. Again, we came up really high. We came down to 17. We talked about that last time. And tails like that, like a tail like that, kind of like a wick with a tail like that's closed red. Price often wants to continue to follow it. We got the EMA 9 down here, and we got the 50% retracement down here, so there's a lot of room for this to still come down. Again, it's 1 month behind Bitcoin or something, so this hasn't even crossed, whereas Bitcoin has already crossed. There's a lot of room there. It hasn't even crossed yet. No red bars here. The last red bar we had was December 2019. Wow, is that for real? No way. That's crazy. That is insane. I think that's even more than Bitcoin. Let's have a look. Bitcoin, when's the last red month? March. December. Yeah, that's interesting. Bitcoin actually had excuse me, they had one red bar 3 months later, whereas Ethereum never even had that red bar. That's crazy. So obviously, you know, with a run like that, December 2019, wow, that's like 1 year. That's a long time. That's almost like, that's crazy. That's a long time. So that for sure we'll see another red bar eventually here. That's like crystal clear that this wants to come down. I mean, it already was, but with not having a red bar in that long, that's just even the faster one. I wonder what this one says. Okay, March there was a red bar. But even this is pretty reliable, this faster MACD. So for that to have not had a red bar since December, that's pretty crazy, because this is faster, remember, so this should even have more red bars. But again, we did have this crossover overbought to neutral. The faster indicator here, blue hasn't crossed, red did. Yellow has not even come close to crossing, so once it does cross, that's gonna trigger a lot of signals. So I think there's still a lot of room for this to fall, definitely. And there was an article about that Ethereum founder, whatever his name is, can't even pronounce it, but the owner of Ethereum, the guy that developed it or whatever, it seems like he's even going short on it, because he was saying, yeah, like crypto right now is no good. I briefly saw his article in the news, like on social media, and I just saw the headline. I didn't like go in depth into his story, but I just saw from the title, like basically he just was saying that it almost sounded like he was going short on himself, because he probably knows where it's going, so he knows he can make money both ways. He doesn't care as long as his business is profiting, then he doesn't care whether he goes short on his own company or not. But that's what it seemed like he was signaling. Yeah, so there is a lot of room to the downside. I mean, I see it. This is just starting, so this is our first month here, June 1st, right? So new month, we have our first inflection to negative infinity. Lots of room to the zero line. Tons. And look how long it ran for the cross last time. This is default. Long time. Before it even crossed up. Look at that. That's crazy. That's extremely crazy, right? So think about that here. It could be a while before we see a cross. So that's what I was saying. We'll just go over the weekly, see if there's any reversion here at all. What happened here? Whoa, 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 whoa. When did that happen? That happened this week? No way. That's crazy. When did that happen? Let's check the 4 hour. No way. Was this the Kraken data? Did you see that? I didn't even talk about it, but there was a crash there. Going down to 1100, that's crazy. Kraken. Is it even showing it, or? What ticker was I just on? I think I just typed in FUSD. Was I looking at someone else? Oh, maybe that was that line that I drew. Okay, I thought there was a crash. It looks like there was a crash to 1100, so I guess not. But anyways, so we are still above the 50% retracement. There's a little bit of bullish momentum. Yeah, so on the monthly there's tons of room to the downside. We just talked about that. For the weekly, we had a bounce off that 50% retracement. Now it's kind of like, okay, where do we go from here? Little bit of bullish momentum. Perhaps this might come up here to get overbought again. But we do have the cross here on the default to the downside, because that's going to be pretty strong. So I wouldn't be taking any. I wouldn't be buying right now. We still have the, what is that, above 50. It's at 50. Is it 53 or 55? I think it says 53.20. So there's a lot. It's above neutral. This hasn't even crossed yet, as we said. And when it does cross, it runs for a long time. That's over a year. Is that over a year? No, it's almost a year. It's like 9 months. That's on a weekly cross. So there might be a little bit of bullish momentum here. You might see a fake out, as we said before. This shorter time frame indicators. They've already gotten overbought, so perhaps they want to come back down to oversold. And the RSI would follow, the yellow one. Red bar starting for the week, so we might see, we are at that 50% retracement here by that yellow line. See how that bounced off almost perfectly? So we might see the same thing here. What's happening on the 4-hour? Kind of like almost sideways momentum, maybe a little bit of bullish momentum. But again, it's coming up, perhaps it's coming up high. Might see some sideways action for a while. Same idea here. Same idea. Starting to run high, right? Same idea here, so I definitely just wait for now. Just wait for it to come down, because on the monthly you can see how clear it is where it wants to go. So the charts might just be resetting the shorter time frames to just follow its monthly pattern. The monthly algorithms want to just continue, right? So we'll talk about Doge, and we might as well talk about Shiba. I don't know if you heard about that. It's like a meme coin, but it's there is volume in it. Whoops. And check out Pig too. P-I-G. You won't be able to see it on this. You have to go on poocoin.app. POOCOIN.app, and then type in PIG. It's a coin. It just got listed on the Singapore exchange. That was today, I think. On Coin Tiger. So it just got listed on that exchange, and apparently there's a rumor that it might get released. It might get on Binance this month. So check it out. It hasn't. It's just a rumor. But they did have like, I think they did have like $200 million worth of volume, or even more. A couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they're running quite high. They went up to I think it was like 6 zeros or 5 zeros, and then 50K, and then now it's back around 2,700. So check that out. Definitely grab some. Tell your friends. And then grab some Shib too. You might want to maybe just have some just in case. Why not? At least for, for down the road. But anyways, there is lots of room. It's almost the same thing as Ethereum and Bitcoin. There's a lot of room for this to the downside. We do now have the negative infinity inflection. Red bar starting. Well, pink technically, but it's pink, but technically it's red. I'll just say lighter red, and then once it crosses below the 0 line, then I've set it to darker red, but that's okay. Pink's fine. In that case, then I probably would change this to purple then. I was thinking about it, but I didn't get a chance to. At some point I will. But anyways, this will cross down at some point. It'll cross back down. Of course, it'll cross back down. And we'll come back maybe to the support here. Or lower. But support's probably a good. Or maybe, let's just say support 2 and support 1. As far as RSI support goes. So support 2 and support 1. Still haven't crossed down. Even the shorter period indicators haven't even crossed down yet. So there's tons of room for this to fall. This has not crossed down either. Hasn't even started an inflection, by the way. So there's tons of room to that 0 line. So same idea here. It's actually the worst. It hasn't even started to cross yet. This one, seen a little bit of bullish momentum this week. A little bit of inflection to positive infinity. Perhaps a little bit of room to retrace. Not sure how long that'll last. This has already come up above 50, so heading into 60 now. It's at 58 point something. It's getting overbought. It's getting there. Close. Yeah, so the RSI is at 60 or what? What is that at? 60 something. 62 or 63. But yeah, so this hasn't even crossed down. There's room to the 50% retracement still, which is at 21 cents on the weekly. On the monthly it's at like 7 cents, I think. Daily has come back up over the 50% retracement. Might see a little bit of bullish momentum, but have a look at that shorter period indicator. It's already coming up high, so maybe it wants to come back down. Start a bit of, well, actually that's kind of strong bearish momentum starting. There's quite a bit of room to that 50% retracement as far as the 4 hour goes. RSI's come up pretty high. It hasn't come up. Well, that's pretty interesting. See, have a look. See how high it is, and it's already that level where when it was up here. That's a strong signal that it wants to continue down, just because it's almost matched the high of that one, right? It's almost, well, not like it's almost there, but look how much room there is. Look, this is at the high of that's at what, 74, 75? Look, only 10 points difference here. But look, there's more than 30 points difference here. There's like 30, more than that, 30, 40 points difference here, but only 10 difference here between this peak and the all-time high peak. Or like the point where it was highest on the RSI when it was at the all-time high. But as far as price, there's much more room. That's a strong signal that it also wants to continue down. And you can see that momentum starting right now. Pretty sharp inflections here. There's actually bearish divergence, so price moved up. Histogram moved down. Signal line moved up. This hasn't even inflected yet. It's not a bad trade actually if you're trading leverage. Definitely use a stop though. And it already started, so you're a little bit late here. But same idea. Did that move up? Yeah, so price moved up slightly. Bar inflected down. We got the break of overbought to heading into neutral. The RSI denoted in the yellow. This shorter period hasn't even broken down yet, which is interesting because usually it breaks down. Usually crosses over first. Yeah, so it's easier if you have like multiple screens and you divide like your screen into 3 charts. That way you don't have to keep flipping through the time frames like me. Yeah, so you have the the bearish momentum starting on the 3 hour, on the 4 hour you saw, 2 hour we talked about. 1 hour we got the bearish divergence again. His signal line also moved down here. So as we said before, the signal line moved up, but in this case it moved down. But more so the histogram moved down. That's more important. Actually, did it move down? I know the histogram did. And we were on the 1. Yeah, so it's more so the bars, but in this case here the signal line did move down, so that matches. the bars here. So just have a look at both cases and find something that matches bearish divergence. So price moved up here, signal line moved down, bars also moved down, and then we got, the histogram moved down, and then we got the RSI moving down. That's on the 1 hour, 4 hour, the bar moved down while price moved up. Can't see it too much on the 4 hour. On the 3 hour, little bit. Probably you see these, that's why I changed color, because it went to negative infinity. We have the shorter period indicator sloping down whilst price moved up. That's the is that the 2 hour, 3 hour? Okay, yeah, so here we don't have the signal line to match, but we have the histogram moving down as price moved up. The shorter period indicators move down, so that's a match. So you may find some that match and some that don't, but here overall you can see the 1 hour perfectly. Everything matched. So just kind of make a case for all your signals. And you can see more in depth as we go into the lower time frames. We'll just have a look at Shib quickly. It's like a tether, I think. Tetherus or tether? Yeah, USDT. Okay, so we got nothing on the monthly. Nothing on the weekly, except for a green bar starting. The thing about altcoins is I don't know, since there's no data, would it follow the... See, look how oversold that is, by the way. Like, would it follow the main coins? Honestly, I'm pretty sure there are altcoins that pump when Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like Doge, the main coins, would fall. I guess Doge is a main coin now. But have a look, there's like, look how oversold this is. There's tons of room to get up overbought. Look, and think about it, if it's that low on the daily, on the weekly it's probably like down here. Look at that, that hasn't even crossed over yet. So buying some now, at least a little bit, wouldn't be too bad of an idea. I mean, don't go crazy, but maybe just a little bit for later, just in case it blows up, right? If it goes to a cent, and you have like maybe 2 million shares at least, it's like, it's good. At least you have something just in case it takes off. But I wouldn't go too heavy here because, you know, if it does want to follow the main coins, then you could be going down for a long time. So there's a little bit of bullish divergence, bullish convergence here. So price moved down overall. Shorter period indicators moved up. MACD moved up. The faster one, at least you can see. So again, there's no even average or 50% retracement lines on here. Got a little bit of a red line starting here. It's like, hey, I want to come up here. So it wouldn't be too bad to buy here. As I said, if you wanted to buy a little bit, maybe just get in a little bit. And like, if it goes down, at least you can buy some more later. That way you're not buying everything now. You can kind of buy a little bit now and then buy a lot more later if it wants to go down. You at least get something. That's what I think. But these, like, charts like these, like I'm kind of new at looking at, like when there's so much data like Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's really easy because everything's all mapped out for you. But stuff like this is kind of harder because like you can't really see what's happening. It's like, okay, well there's a bar here, but there's no indicators, no algorithms on here at all. Nothing you can use. Nothing. Basically, there's nothing here. I think that's something I drew. Yeah, there's nothing on here. Not even any moving averages. Oh, there is a moving average. It's at 895. It's a little bit higher. I think that's the EMA2. So that could be a good sign that it wants to go up a little bit. This is a red month though, we do have a new month here, and it's red. So this is on Binance. So Shiba got listed on Binance. So again, Pig. It's like a Chinese coin. It's really big in China apparently or something. But it's huge. It's apparently the reason why. Oh yeah, by the way, the CEO of Binance, he tweeted about it. So check out his Twitter page, or check out Pig Finance on Twitter. Is it like CJ Binance or something? I don't know what his name is, but check out Pig. Go down their wall and you'll find a post of the CEO of Binance tweeting about Pig Finance, PIG, Pig token, about how it like burned so many Binance coins for every like transaction. Apparently, like for every transaction, 3% of it goes into a pool of like BNB, so Binance coin, and apparently they burned like 70 million of Binance in just a few weeks. So the guy's pretty happy. And just if it's only been open for a few weeks and they've already burned that much, then obviously they can contribute to his business too. So he's kind of looking into it. So definitely grab some. I think that could be a 20x at this point. But again, it's kind of like, oh well, I hope it doesn't follow Bitcoin and Ethereum. So at least you have a little bit. But if it wants to follow the main coins, well, it could be going down for a while, at least a year. But just grab a little bit. But otherwise, that's all for today, so take care, and I'll see you guys next time.